very early game for Kaos Latin Gaming, that is where their positive force is. Well, we'll see what is going to happen. As already, Tom Kench going to be banned away. Kaos Latin Gaming getting rid of it on the blue side.
I love the fact that Tom Kench and Braum are both banned out, because that just comes down to two melee supports that can just control a lot of the skirmishes. You take them out, really, Tark is still left and alive, so that's the only melee skirmish champion that's still available.
Yeah, of course, Bear really does like his melee supports just in general. Played a lot of Trundle in the final, as well as playing only Alistair Braum so far here at IWCQ. But I like it. The Gnar being banned away. And that is going to be the Braum as well.
I mean, Trundle would be a good one too, so it's a good addition to those melee skirmish supports. Trundle versus Tark could be interesting look.
Yep. Of course, Kaos Latin Gaming able to flex that Trundle quite effectively. Trundle being relatively bright spark in what was a very dark day against the Chiefs yesterday, Kaos Latin Gaming. But Malzahar going to be banned from Saya. Of course, his Mal's performance yesterday, 4-1 and 13, pretty damn good.
I'm not a fan of it simply because Saya just has a very large champion pool. Even at very rare times could just go to Diana, and especially since at this point in the time where they are on purple side, 100% they would love to go for a last pick for Saya's champion. No real reason to ban out Malzahar on blue side.
Yeah, and there are a lot of answers to a lot of the, I guess, first pick mid laners that are up, namely Vladimir and Talia. They're going to go away from it as Ashe is picked up first. The Fox, of course, has been the carry for this team, especially recently.
But if you're going towards this first pick Ashe, Lyon, they see your top lane picks, or at least bans, they could just go Aurelia. That's something that they're very, very likely or comfortable in doing so, but the Trundle pick, I guess, is their focus.
Yeah, Trundle going to be locked away already. Can, of course, be for Arce towards the bottom side of the map if they want it. So now Oddie thinking about what he wants. Some grins on the face of the Lyon Gaming right now. As Gragas is going to be locked away, and already pretty powerful front line and split push potential out of Lyon Gaming.
Yeah, so now that they have that Ashe pick, and they know they're going up against a Gragas, will they look straight back towards that Nidalee pick for Julius Dito?
Yeah, able to pressure out maybe a slower jungler in the Gragas.
Yeah, that could be a point of focus for them. They have a good shove, or at least they very well should, unless if Lyon look towards a Sivir pick. Ashe usually does control a lot of those bottom lanes. So then the question is if she goes Ashe, maybe even Karma, depends on the champions. You add a Nidalee to the mix, and you can just invade anytime you want and make Audie's life a mess.
Well, the Braum is still available here for the Bear. If he wants to grab it, as Plugo looking at the Talia. That is the Alistair picked up, so a lot of engage potential right now coming out of the bottom lane. And the Talia, a dangerous pick, feels like, against Saya, to be honest with you.
That's true, but this is a pick that I really wanted to see on Plugo. He showed a lot of smart plays on this champion in the finals in his own region, so it's something I definitely would have loved to see him focus towards a lot more during this tournament, but finally picks it up for himself.
Well, top lane and jungle now being looked for by Kaos Latin Gaming. We'll see what they do decide to pick up. It's now White Lotus thinking about the Twitch. Shoutouts to Saya from the 1v1 tournament. Looking pretty damn good on the little rat in his own right.
Yeah. I've had an experience with Saya randomly queuing up when I was in North America in an ARAM game, and he was playing Lucian.
Oh, God.
Decided to go AP Lucian. I got demolished by his AP Lucian. I'm going to be honest. It was not good.
Just get ardently blazed on, I think is what that phrase is. And he's going to lock away Syndra. That is going to be his chosen answer to the Talia this time around. Of course, a lot of long-range engage with that Scatter the Weak and the Dark Sphere. So I like it. And this would be different.
I like this a lot because if you get the Trundle and you know you're going up against that Alistair pick, that is an incredibly strong flex pick for them. So they end up going for that mid lane pick. They know they're going up against Talia, so they end up, they pick out that Syndra. Great matchup. Sure, he gets shoved in a little bit, but then he has so much pressure level 5 onwards, especially with Gragas early gank pressure. So Talia has to always feel a little bit afraid at the very least. So now we just don't know what Lyon's support / top lane pick is going to be. So that's a lot of pressure on KLG as they have to make a decision of who their top laner is.
Well, Element actually thinking about the Kennen again. Did play it against Dark Passage. Went 0-3. Wasn't exactly the best game.
Ooh, this is not a good idea.
Oh, yeah?
He's making this decision, probably assuming that's a top lane Trundle, for him to just go top lane Kennen. That is fairly risky. You can probably just end up going, you can probably just go an Irelia even. Or
And Jarell's Irelia is a terrifying prospect as well. This guy has really gone off.
Irelia, Renekton. There's a lot of bruisers top lane that can just jump on top of you if you're a Kennen. So making this pick, knowing that they're flexing the Trundle in a good matchup, if you're Trundle versus Alistar bottom lane is fantastic. Lyon should just put this Trundle support. Yeah, like what is this? Like what's happening? Why did they blind pick the Kennen?
Well, maybe Element was confident in the Kennen Irelia matchup?
He's starting to realize what decision he just made. He's like, wait a minute, that Trundle. Oh yeah, that could be a Trundle support. That's a flexible champion. Maybe he's actually comfortable with this matchup. Irelia, I mean, Kennen does have range on this champion. But with that being said, I guess he's just going to look to play safe in the lane after a certain point, not shove out. He can't afford to. Irelia is just going to always have the option, especially at level 6, to jump on the minions and jump on top of him and get an extra trade going for him. So it makes Gragas's job a lot easier on who to focus down.
Yeah, it does look like Element will have a bit of a target painted on his back because very different focus from these two top laners. Of course, it's AoE lockdown and damage from the Kennen in these team fights late game, whereas Irelia can be utilized as a frontline source in a team fight or, of course, just split pushing his way to victory.
Yeah.
And we saw it very effectively used by Dark Passage in our first game of the day.
I just loved how the matchup that we just saw on the screen right there, White Lotus versus the Fox. First of all, that was the first time I've seen the matchup be like an actual 80 carry versus 80 carry, just an actual reflection of two roles against each other. Second of all, it's White Lotus against his former team.
Yeah.
So, and he's showing he has an incredible showing in this tournament, doing super well, obviously. So that's a kind of, salt in the wounds.
It is a little bit.
KLG.
Of course, the Fox with big shoes to fill as well, as White Lotus has been playing fantastically. Was, of course, a force for Kaos Latin Gaming at the same time last time that we saw the team. But we are under Summoner's Rift here for game number 2. Latin America North versus Latin America South. And it's now redemption of the South on the line and trying to keep their playoff dreams alive here. Already down 0-3 and do not want the opportunity of going anything below 4 victories because it does show that there is quite a possibility that you won't be able to make it out of this group stage.
Yeah.
Without some pretty handy tiebreakers or something like that going your way.
Yeah, you'd have to win the rest of your games, find yourself in a fantastic tie-breaking opportunity.
Yep.
And that's just the best scenario, best case scenario. So this just needs to be a win for them.
Well, we'll see whether they can find it. It's the Fox standing sentinel here in this bottom lane tri-brush.
Worst thing for this Kennen is obviously he can't also swap from this matchup. So he has to take the brunt of it. At the very least, he has a Talia in his back pocket, but Talia now is locked down by the specific matchup. So question is how focus is going to be towards jungle matchups and how Audi is actually going to be, if he's going to be in the right place in the right time this time around.
Yeah, we are going to have a slight pause to start things off here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see whether anything is going to is a problem.
Yeah.
But of course, Talia able to get down a heck of a lot of damage onto the Syndra early on shows that Sayer's just like, well, maybe we had an issue with too much damage being done to me. But if you take the entire volley of damage to the face and a Thunderlord's proc, it's probably about right.
Yeah, maybe. I think the first point that they saw that they decided to go for this pause was, they definitely thought, if we can get a remake. That would be fantastic.
I'm sorry that Trundle was supposed to be top lane. I believe something's gone wrong here.
I messaged one of you guys. No one picked up. We wanted to tell you that was not the pick that we wanted to go for. No, that just didn't work out for them. So apparently, the referee just rejected their request.
Well, certainly understandable as well because, of course, Lyon Gaming haven't done anything wrong. Flex picks are a pretty big deal.
It's against the rules to flex pick. It is. If Giral is hovering, if he himself is on that champion of Trundle, better keep that champion.
Yep. Well, does mean I believe Seiya would have had to have been playing. Oh no, he locked in the Syndra, so that's okay. Whereas Element should be playing top lane Ashe.
It's doable.
Well, look at this vote. 78% in favor of Lyon Gaming. Understandably, pretty topsy-turvy matchup, but history would tell us a different story. It's White Lotus going aggressive. Good volley across there from the Fox just to make sure that he can try and continue poking this bottom lane.
It's going to be a battle of mentality here because Kaos Latin Gaming right now are the underdogs. 100%.
Yes.
Lyon will be coming into this one.
I could answer that question.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Raz.
But Lyon Gaming are definitely going to keep. This is beautiful. See, they already put down the ward. They are constantly moving. But of course, Kaos Latin Gaming at the very least, they recognize that, but it doesn't matter. They know that Rek'Sai is going to be top side of the map, and now Audi will be aware.
Well, like ships in the night, they're going to pass by. I'm not sure whether they saw each other as Equilibrium Strike used by Giral. Level 3 gained by Element as the Blade Surge comes in. Good stun as Audie's now looking for it. Can he get the flash body slam? No, just gets the flash out of Element. Not wanting to risk it as Julio Cito now makes his way towards the top side. Seiya and Plugo trading here in the mid lane. Flash comes out of Audie as the Prey Seeker finds him as well. Already, lots of Summoner Spells burnt.
Yeah, but this is disastrous for Element. He will not be able to shove this lane in. Cannot do it. Maybe off of millions of Qs on that individual minion.
Man,
but he's in a position.
It's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of time, and he's going to be zoned away from the wave, and he doesn't have flash. So Giral right now, balls in his court, to be able to just take the rest of this matchup going for him.
Yeah, well, nicely done. You saw a good trade there towards the bottom side as well as White Lotus going aggressive onto the Fox and Bear. Arce keeping himself well and truly healthy. The Trundle working out very nicely. This guy just seems like he can do it all. It's not often you see a sweet highlight-worthy play on a Braum.
Definitely not often.
No. The pillar goes down. Looking for some damage onto Bear, but not going to go too aggressive. Lyon Gaming's bottom lane are pushing up very, very quickly. A lot of action here in the mid lane early. Since has calmed down just a tad. Audie walks over a ward to this Raptor camp.
Good early wards coming out of Kaos Latin Gaming. So it's not only Lyon that are placing these proper wards. They do know where Audie is.
Oh, not sure whether Audie actually was able to pick that one up as he gets shoved back in. Plugo now looking to try and answer here as Seiya back in base. It's going to be a problem. Plugo not wanting to go overly aggressive.
He should have. Really should have.
Yeah, would have thought that he'd be able to lock that one down.
Yeah, so at the very least, you'd have to expect the communication to be that RC was not in his lane. He did have to roam outwards. But if you get the kill, or at least commit to it, so you would have perhaps just a bit of HP left, he wouldn't be able to even go back to his own jungle and clear. He would have to immediately back to base. So it's a small bit. But it's a safe thing for Plugo to decide to not push further.
Yeah. Interesting. I'll say I did manage to get back to base. Got himself a part of his Morellonomicon.
Element needs to get out of this lane. He's right now with that TP coming out of Giral. He got his Sheen immediately. Any trade is going to be disastrous for Element. He needs gold, or at least he needs an item to respond to it.
We'll see what he's actually going to build first here with it. Do you go straight into a Zhonya's Hourglass, something like that here against an Aurelia, or do you try and go for damage, like a Dash Cannon first up, get that flexibility?
Dash Cannon would be fantastic. So he's going to go for components of it, very likely. If he does so, the matchup's just going to get worse. So they do need to get him. He needs to get himself to a position on level 6. Ask his bottom lane to at least place a ward for him, so he can get out of this lane entirely. So yeah, I would love to see a Dash Cannon from him.
We'll see whether the Proto Belt is going to be picked up, as now Seiya pushing up this mid lane, able to get himself a CS lead for the first time, as Plugo did go back to base. Extra Doran's Ring and a Negatron Cloak.
And
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Nice ward being placed from Giral in that blue side area, so then they know when Rek'Sai will be on that end to possibly take that Gromp. It's the only camp available in this side of the jungle.
Yeah. Bottom lane is going to go back to base. We've got a BF sword pick up here for the Fox. Grabs himself some boots at the same time, but Lyon Gaming deciding to wait. Able to get the shove in. Element teleports back top as the Fox is going to walk towards the bottom. Pillar comes in. Bear just locked against the wall. That's very sad. He's trying to hold this wave as quickly as possible. As much as possible.
Should be able to hold this one CS.
Got it. Perfect.
There we go.
No worries. Serrated Dirt completed for White Lotus, though. Got himself 2 long swords.
So once again, Lyon Gaming having stronger lanes. The Trundle and Lucian should be able to make Fox's life pretty much hell. Fox needs to find effectiveness on rotating, just rotating either mid lane or allowing elements to find a TP play in that bottom lane. But they don't have proper ward set up in the bot lane right now. If they can get one before White Lotus and RC can get a shove, then that would be great for them.
Well, there's the flash body slam. Element knocked underneath the turret. Throws down the Vengeful Maelstrom. Nice double stun comes in as Giral waiting for another Blade Surge. He has flash, but decides not to use it. And Element able to get out with his life and his flash.
Yeah, perfect stuns and no incoming wave. So the ult coming out of Giral could not chip anything down for him to look for that chase. So really well done from Element to be able to survive that encounter. He does have a giant belt, so he's likely going for Rylai's Crystal Scepter first.
Yeah, and I actually quite like it. Just going for the defensive itemization. Made sure that he couldn't get popped. Giral now as well. He's Blade Surged in. Another Mark of the Storm will be needed here for Element to get that stun. Good Equilibrium Strike, but the knock-up comes in. Element looking for the auto attack. Doesn't find it as Giral gets himself out, but has to use the flash.
Yeah, he holds on to it because he recognizes that Juliocito also has his flash as well. So once he was able to get the first proc of the knock-up from Rek'Sai, knew that the second one's obviously not going to be up for a little while, so he just flashes away.
Well, he's going to be all right for the moment. We'll see whether a return visit is there from Juliocito, but this lane going much better for Element than we were expecting, especially given Oddie's involvement. As Arce now looking for Fox, throws down the arrows. White Lotus has got exhausted. Fox as well, struggling to get the damage across. Arce is just so tanky, and that's a level advantage for Bear as well. Unbreakable Will just being able to be picked up.
It's a dive opportunity out here with a TP coming up fairly soon on Giral. So, of course, yeah, Kaos Latin Gaming, they have to back away and respect the pressure.
Yeah, get out of there immediately as Barrel secures the Krug camp. Now Lyon Gaming looking to try and take this turret down to about half health before these minions are destroyed. Good play. Defensive play out of KMV, though, is strong. Able to keep themselves in it. And the CS, very, very close in almost every single lane.
Yeah. Able to heal back up the Fox as well. Not only are you getting the heal coming out of the Alistar and Bear, but on top of that, the Targon stacks coming through. So he may have gotten a lot of damage, or at least put on him, but able to heal right back up.
Yeah, and where are these teams like looking to be strong as well? I mean, Lyon Gaming waiting for like a mid-game power spike out of Lucian and Syndra, and KMV looking to scale?
They have a lot of opportunities on KLG's team. They can look to make picks. If Plugo has pressure in his lane, he can look to ulti bot side. They have a lot of pick potential with the Fox as well. Alistar and Ashe, great work from both of them. On top of that, they can also just rotate the Fox for making just Ashe picks mid-time.
Face off.
Just looking at each other. I mean, they don't even know that they're looking at each other.
They're not looking at each other, but they are at the same time.
You can just imagine that they are.
It's a hectic stare down. As there's a headbutt, Pulverized Bear looking for a good pillar to try and stop the Fox from getting the damage off onto White Lotus, who just sidesteps the arrow. That could have been death.
This is the worst thing about this lane is that the Bear cannot actually look to that hard engage because Trundle will just lock you up. And the moment, right now it's not too impactful, but the point once Lucian does get to his more of his items, he will start doing a lot more damage in these trades and these all-in trades, and It's not going to be working out well for Bear. Bear's going to have to be forced to utilize his ulti.
Oh my God. How
All
did he... That was ridiculous. That Weaver's Wall is going to come in. Not going to actually block off the lane as Arce avoids the seismic shove. This Lyon Gaming bottom lane, honestly, is so good. As Element in trouble one more time. The barrel, yet again, doesn't find the kill as Element gets surged on. Bladily on the top side after a bit. Going down low, but is once again safe. This time has to use his flash, and Kaos Latin Gamers utilize the jungler being top to take down this first Ocean Drake.
White Lotus. White Lotus.
The guy's so good.
Argentinian wonder kid. This
Yeah.
guy is insane. Oh my God. I just if the first replay of this game is gonna be that, it better be that.
It better be that.
Yeah.
Because how do you relentlessly pursue away from an ability that's basically instant?
I mean, he had to have expected it just based off of the
I guess that's the
positioning of Bear.
difference between Pulverize Flash and Flash Pulverize, because I believe it must have been Flash Pulverize, so that there was a little bit of an animation before it went off.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think it was a pulverize. We're gonna have to see it, obviously.
Yeah,
but
we will.
Who knows? So
Questions have to be answered. Or maybe it just was never going to hit in the first place, which would be really depressing, because it looked really, really cool. I don't know. I feel like I'm bringing down the mood, because it was damn awesome.
yeah, I'm supposed to be doing the analysis.
Exactly.
I'm
I
just
apologize, man.
I'm too much in awe.
Yeah, exactly.
With that being said, right now lanes are working out as well as they could for Kaos Latin Gaming. They could just get worse. Right now, Lucian did end up finishing up his first item in that Yomu's Ghostblade. So it's going to be a lot harder for that Ashe. Sure, she does have BF Sword, and on top of that, the Zeal. Oh, here we go.
One more time. There's the Flash Equilibrium Strike. This time as Giral is able to grab first blood and take down the cannon. It took a few tries, but they got there in the end, Raz.
Yeah, I mean, Element played it out as well as he could. He utilizing his range advantage, had a 20 CS lead.
Well, Arrow is going to find Arce here as Bear gets the Pulverize, but doesn't get it onto White Lotus, who's getting a lot of damage across. Arce, with the Subjugate, did survive for a long time. However, they're able to get the kill.
Talia's looking for this now. White Lotus needs to walk away from this tower.
Is going to do so and should be first structure gold going over to KMV at the same time. So answering that early lead that Lyon were able to get out to with that first blood, and Fox is actually going to get all of this gold.
There we go.
650, that is a big deal. Seiya can't even find the stun here. Plugo walks past. They're just dodging each other right now. Good slow comes in, as you can see. Gragas, the ultimate comes out. Plugo takes a lot from the unleashed power. And now Julio Cito, lots of respect there from Seiya. There's the flash. Julio Cito delivered to the Dark Sphere. That was stunning. The 1-2 punch from the mid and jungle.
That's the most action you're going to see at a Rek'Sai versus Gragas right there. But that was really well done from Audi. Recognized that, Julio Cito still has his flash, but did not respect it in that. Did not respect Audi's flash body slam.
I liked Seiya respecting the flash knock-up, though. That was good.
Yeah, really well done.
Making sure as soon as that tunnel goes down, it's like, well, he can flash on Burrow me. I'm gonna have to respect it. As White Lotus going to answer the tower take on the bottom side of the map instantly. Arce holding that lane for him as well. As it's actually Plugo sent to defend. We'll see where these players go now that the lanes have opened up. And it looks like the Fox and Bear just hanging out here in the mid lane.
Yeah, they need to start. They need to send Lucian.
It's really sad that I
back.
just realized that it's a bear and a fox.
They
just got really cool names.
That's true.
As Arrow is going to find Arce yet again. It's a 2-for-1 special on these Trundles right now, as that knockback was hilarious. Not going to do anything, though, and they lose the Trundle yet again.
Yeah, this could mean mid-tower for them. They're going to look to try and stack up on it. White Lotus is in base, walking towards this tower.
Yeah, fair bit of wave clear, though. You can see that Dark Sphere clears it out easily for Seiya. Level 11 now as well, so, of course, has fully maxed out that Q.
Yeah, really good lane assignments coming out of Kaos Latin Gamers to send Talia to the spot lane. It's not going to be that impactful because, of course, she does want to be in mid side to be able to rotate between top and bot. But she doesn't have ulti up.
The Fox. White Lotus throws down the culling. Look at that damage. I don't even know what it was from Seiya that locked down that kill. But I think it may have been a heck of a lot of orbs, and White Lotus's culling didn't actually do too much of anything, as Bear has to throw down his ultimate. Arce is going to make his way in. Gets the pillar in a good spot, as Say is now looking to try and delete someone else. Will he be able to get the stun is the question, as Unleashed Power... Sorry. The Scat of the Week. Didn't find him.
Really great focus, and here we go. Once again.
In goes Jarrell. Yeah, Oddie once again pays a visit. Jarrell just ignoring Slicing Maelstrom.
Though, but that's something that they can constantly look to do now. Lyon Gaming, they have themselves great lanes, so once again, they're just going to keep bullying the cannon, and why not?
Yeah. Sayo just picks up a blue buff, plays with it for a bit, and throws it down. It's always a very depressing thing when you're a jungler playing against a Syndra, and your buffs just disappear.
You know what I miss?
What do you miss?
Remember, Syndra came back into the meta, or at least I think it was her first time in the meta, like first time she actually showed up. And the most cheeky thing I've seen was CLG coming up, and their level 1 invade was walk towards blue buff, take blue buff away from whatever jungler that was starting blue buff, and just steal it and then walk away. And I was like, it's basically Blitzcrank pull.
Mm-hmm. Very depressing, as Arrow is going to find Saya. There's everyone piling on top, and Arce also possibly caught out. Doesn't have to use the ultimate, but that is the pick potential of this composition from KLG.
Yeah, and they only have a few minions, so they won't be able to take the turret down on this wave alone. Next wave will take some time. Lucian's going to be able to get there at the same time, so not a lot going to be taken from that for KLG unless they're looking to commit to it.
Well, White Lotus throws down the culling. Bear just tanks it up. Probably doesn't want to. Almost with his Black Cleaver completed, as Oddie now finds the body slam. Ultimate is, of course, there, but they can't defend the turret. And KLG even things out on that score. Grab themselves a dragon at the same time. Like, this is a team that is so close to being in the lead.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing much better against Lyon Gaming, so they must have learned quite a bit from their previous games.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they know Lyon very well. Very well. So the prep time for this one must have been much shorter.
Most certainly. So now White Lotus is going to help take this one down. Should spell his Black Cleaver very soon. Yeah. Important to note the 2-item power spike of the Lucian being very, very strong.
So what Lyon Gaming just need to do right now, since they have a proper top lane matchup that Audie's always going to be looking to rotate around. And then Lucian right now, all Lucian wants to do is force the Fox into that side lane. All at any point, at any opportunity. And so he's going to be constantly looking to shove up, getting Ashe up to that position, and just looking to duel her.
Well, Bear now hanging out up top. Good ward actually put down behind this outer turret. Is Arrow going to soar by? Looking beautiful.
A lot of projectiles coming in. Lyon have to at least recognize that this play is a possibility, so Arce is going to be in there.
Yeah. Going to get up. They're going to clear this one out quite easily. Talia was waiting in the wings.
The Fox has to watch out.
Yeah, White Lotus now gets that wave, crashes it towards the inner turret. Now moves back immediately. I'll say aggressive position right now, but Weaver's Wall is available. Plugo can be there at a moment's notice. Sayo is moving around, but not quite as maneuverable. Despite everything, Lions still, that lead just seems to be organically growing in favor of them unless a proactive play is made by KMV.
Well, right now, the game is much easier for Lyon to execute on. KMV has to find ways to hide elements in this matchup, while at the same time trying to find ways to hide the Fox in his bot lane matchup. They're trying to hide so many matchups that it's impossible to do so unless they find an incredibly creative fight to work off of. The Fox needs to start hitting his ultis. Elements needs to start finding some certain TP plays, which really means that Julio Stito and the rest of his team have to start looking for proper invades when it comes through to get down flank wards whenever possible. It just hasn't been happening this game, so right now Elements has just been stuck in this lane, not able to achieve much.
Well, has achieved at least a CS advantage. 162 to 157. Spectre's Cowl now completed by Jarrell, so not heading towards a Ghost Blade this time. It's going to be the the Spirit Visage, unless he wants a Banshee's Veil, which would be odd, because Spirit Visage is so damn good on Aurelia. White Lotus and Arce now move towards the top side, see whether they can get some pressure on the outer turret. Mid-outers, of course, traded for both sides. It's just the top lane remaining for outer turrets. KLG actually wanting to try and make a play for this. Julio Cito moving around. Dural, teleport at the ready. Has moved down to the bottom lane. Kaos Latin Gaming will have a small amount of time to play with before that inner turret is under threat. Good stun onto Julio Cito, though, as there's the flash body slam. Stops him from being able to tunnel out, but the flash will get him into the Baron pit.
Now they're in such a lose-lose situation because Kaos Latin Gaming, that was smart from them. They really did want to look for this top lane play. That was their only option simply because they didn't have much time to work with. Trolp was shoving out in that bot lane, and they didn't want to find elements once again in this matchup. So they were trying to set up for it. Julio Cito gets caught in that jungle. Doesn't die, though, so at the very least, he can be thankful for that.
Well, Plugo now going to grab himself his blue buff. Does so quite easily. The help of Julio Cito. But all of that pressure, all of those movements just for naught. After the Rek'Sai takes so much damage. LYN back in control. No lead to speak of. 300 gold is in it right now.
Well, Lion's just trying to find passive leads from individual matchups, as they have been throughout the tournament, to be honest. So they're fine just keeping it as it is. Now the lead isn't very much in terms of gold, but the possibility is only growing larger simply because Aurelia is going to be starting to build defensively. She already did with that cow. And it's only going to get worse from there. What is Element going to do? He's not going to be building for the matchup. He's going to be building for a team fight in the future, which just means much more AP. The dash cannon, obviously, was with the Rylai's, and he's going to be perhaps going towards that Zhonya's. And that's not going to be very impactful up against once Jiraiya has quite a lot for himself.
Yeah.
So the longer this game goes, he's going to be much more afraid of his individual matchup. And White Lotus is already doing a lot of damage for himself. On top of that, he has QSS, so he's not even going to be afraid of Ashe stunning him for any 1v1 matchup.
And right now, just shoving out with Reckless Abandon. It's another wave towards this outer turret as Arce moving down the bottom of the lane. Just getting some vision in that river. He's standing on a pink ward right at the moment as Julio Cito. Looks like the Baron focus is here for both of these teams, wanting to get the vision, wanting to get control. And so far, feels like a stalemate.
Yeah, it is. It is centered around this one top lane tower that KLG wants to set up for. Kaos Latin Gaming want this one tower, and it's not so much just the tower itself. They want a flank on this tower. If they can possibly get a TP going for Kennen around here to set up for something. If they can't get it, then they'll just get the tower and be happy about it. Extending the lane is going to be good for the Foxes on Ashe.
Well, tower is taking some damage. But with 3 members, Lyon Gaming are able to get up there, defend it. No move's going to be made. Proto Belt completed now for Element, as well as those Sorcerer Shoes. So he's looking strong. We have a Rylai's and an Abyssal done for Plugo. So only 10% CDR at the moment. Not opting in to something like the Morellonomicon, but not up against a Vladimir. Not as necessary this time around, I guess.
Yeah, he does want to stay alive against Seiya. As long as he can survive the burst, he's going to be happy about that.
And Julio Cito decided to pick up his full Titanic Hydra as his second option. Often we see Tiamats hanging around for a little bit longer than that before being completed, but
yeah,
I like
usually perhaps maybe a Spirit Visage and then head into that, finishing up the Tiamat. Once you get the resistances, the HP of the Titanic Hydra is fairly strong. But of course, he's just going to go for the immediate combat power of it.
Well, Oddie.
Especially since he has red buff currently. Anyone that tries to fight him, he can take him.
Well, we'll see whether that's going to be put to the test, because at the moment, no one really wants to. Plugo waiting around, understands that Oddie did head bottom side. He's now waiting around. You can see only 2 members up here towards the top, as Plugo now hanging out, does have the weave as well, but doesn't use it. Might need to defend here. Seiya is just cleaning tunnels. Shoving up towards this inner turret. Plugo does make it in. So now there's a possible flash body time. There it is. Right into all the CC. Unleashed power is going to get thrown out, but it's not quite enough damage. The last Dark Sphere after the flash. And Seiya gets it. Oddie even able to use his Locket of the Iron Solari to shield up Seiya from the stray turret shot.
White Lotus found himself in an interesting position, but of course he's just going to walk right out of there. And so, once again, really tense situation because both teams know how linear it can be of just defend and attack in terms of how that top lane matchup is going to go. They did right now. KLG's in a bit of a pickle. How they're trying to set it up, and so Talia had to take the long way around since she was rotating towards that top lane to defend mid tower. And once she looks to defend, Audie was just there, right place, right time,
just waiting. Yeah,
just knocks right back towards that Syndra. So once again, he has been propping up certain matchups.
Oh, White Lotus in a whole host of trouble. He's going to get taken down as the exhaust was so good. Fox now just gets a celebratory shield from, that was an odd one, as the exhaust goes down on a bear, and Arce is going to survive for the moment.
Yeah, he did not want the second rotation on Headbutt Pulverize to allow Ash to take his life as well. So smart exhaust at the end of the day probably would have helped if earlier on in that skirmish we put it on Fox, but
yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, the face of the mountain, an odd move. Doesn't actually have too much movement speed, but inner turret now under fire as well. The outer did fall down as Bear's going to get stunned. Fox caught by Audie and destroyed by Saya. Bear now has the ultimate, but is he unbreakable enough with his will? No, he's certainly not. As Julio Cito now trying to run away from Giral. The slow comes in, but good tunnel avoids most of the duration of that CC, and Aurelia knocked to the right side. We'll see whether it is going to be enough. Dashtown gets Element out as he'd only just started to try and come in, which is an odd decision to make. Arce now catching up to him. Plugo at least able to get the work done. That was fantastic. The body slam for the double stun. There's the unleash. And double kill comes out for Giral in the end. It's all about Arce. This whole team, I didn't see it before, but this support is so, so good in the clutch moments.
I mean, the chase potential of Trundle has always been relevant, but Arce, of course, he's in that position. They found a random cannon late to the fight overall.
That's 2 ultimates, Julio Cito. You do not want to be eating that many. And the Baron is going to get taken down. The Rek'Sai chased away by an angry Lucian. And Lyon Gaming just turned it all around immediately here at 28 minutes in. Quite annoyed about being even with a team. They saw to it.
But once again, KMV was in a proper position, numbers game, working out for them. But because they did get that one pick for themselves, but it just did not work out. Of course, they want a great body slam from Audie. Removes Fox from the fight.
And now all of a sudden, Giral is 5-0-0. So what was already a, difficult matchup for the Cannon is virtually impossible. He goes back, grabs himself a Caulfields as well as a Warden's Mail, finishes his Spirit Visage. It's a pretty good news story for the Aurelia.
And the worst thing about that, for him to pick up that Spirit Visage, not only does he have the waves to help him because he has Baron, but Spirit Visage giving him the extra CDR on top of the resistance as well is a double whammy.
He's got 40% now. It's already completed.
Yeah, double whammy right there. He has the CDR. He can take any skirmish he wants. So if it wasn't bad before, and it was bad, it's much worse.
Oh, jeepers. Well, White Lotus turns up to the mid lane. That inner turret is going to take a lot. Giral's hanging out towards the top as now Fox. See whether he's looking for an arrow. The QSS is going to be there for White Lotus. No, Ardent Blaze doesn't hit turrets. It was a cute attempt.
He was setting up for that double shot.
Yep. No, I know. I was just poking fun. Now red buff going to be stolen away here as well. White Lotus with 3 items. Went for the rapid fire cannon item number 3. After his QSS, which I don't include in the amount of items that he has because it's just hanging out, being a defensive one.
That's true.
If you guys were calling me out, Now has himself the BF sword. So a little bit of awkward as far as where the items are going in his inventory. But White Lotus should still be fine. Looks like it might be an Infinity Edge is the next one. We'll need about 2,300 gold to go back and purchase it.
So my question is, how long will this game go on? Will he be able to finish that Infinity Edge? Because right now, of course, White Lotus is doing quite well for himself. Sure, he's
maybe just going for the final push, just wants as much AD as possible.
Yeah, sure, he's 0-1-1, but he's instills so much fear in the Fox and the individual matchups that it's just hasn't been going too well. Ashe has simply not had the opportunity to roam out mid to make the picks that she's wanted. The Fox, even though he's playing Ashe, almost feels like he doesn't have an ultimate ability because he just hasn't had the option of using it.
White Lotus just throws down the culling. Look at these minions doing so much work as well as White Lotus. Inner turret falls immediately. Giral still putting pressure on the top side. You can see the rest of Lyon Gaming hanging out in the enemy jungle, keeping themselves offside. Good ward there from KMV. Spots out exactly what Lyon Gaming are doing. Fox able to take down that siege cannon. And now only base turrets remain, as well as that inner turret on the top side of the map that Element was able to defend. Backs coming in. We got Zerka's Greaves done for White Lotus. Whoa, okay, that was a full Randuin's Omen completed by Giral on his most recent back.
Yeah. So we've got double Randuin's Omens right now.
From Warden's Mail, of course, yeah.
So 2 Randuin's Omens on the side of Audi and Giral. The crits coming out of Ashe, not going to be doing as much damage. So if she wasn't relevant before, especially since she did have to itemize towards the burst coming out of Gragas and Syndra with that MR item.
Yeah, Sayer as well. Now able to actually take down. Come on, man! Can you actually just kill? There it is. There it is.
He's got it.
It was almost 2 in a row.
It
was almost 2 in a row.
The blue buff has not been very patient with him.
So Leocito probably doesn't want to take that battle. It's Element now in the mid lane, clearing out minions. Of course, Cannon much better at that now. Can use his ultimate to do so, but
big wave coming in on the top side of the map. So yeah, it's great. It's a great decision from Lyon to then decide to be shoving out in the bottom lane. Element's going to be going up to 10 to that. Well, I guess he wanted to take that wolf camp. He didn't have that opportunity.
Taking wolf camps is important. Plugo going to answer the shove from the Lucian, and it is going to be Dragon taken down here by Lyon. Want to get to that Elder Drake, and that is the first Infernal Drake of the game. A lot of oceans. The first one that is definitely a good one for this late game. It's going to go to Lyon. Baron going to be up relatively soon. I believe about 3 or so minutes before we are going to see the big purple worm once again on the map. But of course means that that buff no longer resides on the Lyon Gaming players. It's going to be more difficult to shove this one out.
Even better for Lyon is to use that massive wave right now. Crash into that turret. It looks like that's going to be the focus. 1 minute 45 until Baron. So if that's not it, then they can just be peeling back, put down their pinks.
Oh, Element's in trouble. Throws down the Maelstrom. Can he actually do it? No, he can't. As the Blade Surge is able to lock it down, and no turret can actually get the work done as Blade Surge able to get Giral to safety as Julio Cito gets stunned by the Scat of the Week. Plugo unable to catch up to Giral. And he just goes back to farming and getting massive once again.
Yeah, so this is ooh, here we go.
Whoa, there's a massive flash body slam. The Fox caught under the turret. The ultimate from Saya was probably not even necessary, but that's the pick they were looking for. No cannon available either. Could this spell the breaking of the base for Lyon Gaming?
But here's the thing. Kaos Latin Gaming, they actually played this game fairly well. They were even through and through, even though Lyon were just completely bullying that top side of the map. So, honestly, they played well. They made gains from their last couple days of the game.
Yes, I would definitely agree with you.
The only question just came down to that one simple point of they just focused so much towards this cannon pick. There was no reason to even look to blind pick this cannon. It really just did not.
Well, you have to remember the fact that we'd already called out their draft from minute number 1. The fact that they were able to keep things even this entire time until that one pick underneath the turret, that one great play from Audi, as well as the solo kill from Giral really turning it on its head. Up until that point, felt like it was anyone's game. And after what could be considered a disaster draft.
Yeah.
That's good news.
It is. So at the very least, it feels like if Kaos Latin Gaming don't come away with this with a win, which will just make the standings look a little more bleaker for them, then...
How is White Lotus on 400 CS at 36 minutes? It's a hell of a lot of CS at 36 minutes.
He's farming anything and everything. But yeah, this could be a great thing for... a great experience for Kaos Latin Gaming. It doesn't feel great, obviously, to come back home with a loss if it turns out like that. But
well, 0-4 as well, which is the real disaster. So C2 gets into his tunnel as Element finds an engage. Arce goes down low, but White Lotus able to lock down the cannon. Bear trying to run away as Giral gets into the backline. There's the Blade Surge. Once again, the Explosive Cask destroys the Ash as Plugo's stunned. Saya locks down 2 on the back end, and that is the swiftest ace I have ever seen in Lyon Gaming, looking to follow some creeps towards the Nexus and finish this one off.
Yeah, that has to be game. They're looking for it now. That is one way to show some strength right there. Lyon Gaming coming off as the favorites for the first time in this tournament, up against the Kaos Latin Gaming.
Yeah.
Must feel good for White Lotus.
And I honestly feel like they're gonna almost look like favorites up against anyone. Now able to take down INTZ, Dark Passage, and now Kaos Latin Gaming. The first team here in IWCQ with a 3-0-0 scoreline.
Yeah, exactly. Looking incredibly strong.
And actually the only team that's going to have a 3-0-0 scoreline, I believe.
That's true. And one more game later on today up against Rampage, I believe.
No, up against the Saigon Jokers.
Saigon, yes.
Is our final matchup. So
they can't sleep on Saigon. I mean, they had a little bit of difficulty against this Kaos Latin Gaming early on in this game. So if you're going up against Saigon Jokers, a team that will skirmish you at every single point, that they could have honestly, had tides been a little bit different, it could have been 2-0 up until this point. Saigon, a little bit unlucky with their skirmishes, but if you take those 50-50 fights a lot of the time, you know, you're not going to be coming back with your money half the other time. So
yeah, and we also know Southeast Asia as being a region that is very, very mechanically gifted.
Yeah.
Like, they have a lot of extremely good players. It's often the macro play that we ask questions of. But, yeah, if you get into a skirmish-heavy, chaotic style of League of Legends, I have a feeling that Saigon Jokers will be pretty happy with that situation. As we have a look at some of the highlights, this was when Element was finally able to be taken down at 13.5 minutes. Oddie was up top lane for a very long time. But look at this. They just pick off the Ashe over and over again.
It would often be off of a good play coming out of Kaos Latin Gaming. And it just wouldn't work out because Oddie would rescue the play.
Yeah. And look at this. Wait for the pillar. Look at that.
Chase him down, constantly able to get that 2-man Gragas body slam. So once again, Trundle a pick. It's great for the lane. You get Trundle versus Alistar, you're going to be fantastic. You're going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
Then you go into team fights, you're just going to be, you're going to tank yourself up, immediately ulti Alistar or this Rek'Sai, get yourself a million resistances, and just spam down your Trundle pillars at every opportunity you get.
I mean, that was the dream engage for Element as well. I mean, didn't have his Zonya's Hourglass, unfortunately, but still, I mean, you want to be getting that Slicing Maelstrom on everyone. Create a target on yourself so the rest of your team had room. It just wasn't enough, and with a 15,000 gold lead, it's just a little bit too easy for Lyon Gaming to be able to come away with the victory. It was expected, but man, it looked good in that last team fight. However, closer throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, I mean, the first gank, the first blood that came through on that top lane Kennen,
yeah,
had a 10 CS lead. And it came back to the fact of simple melee versus ranged matchup. And even though he didn't have the flash, that was going to be disastrous simply because Audi was going to keep coming topside. So if there was a possibility of keeping Kennen on top of it, of just keeping him safe and secure, probably could have gotten to a point where they could look for that bot lane TP play, but it never really happened because they never really searched for it. So as Kaos Latin Gaming, sure, they can be a lot more happier how they performed in the beginning of this game. But if you look back at this game, or at least if they look back at this game, there were a lot of opportunities they just simply did not take.
Yeah, and I actually want to talk about that because they had a fantastic pickoff with all of their abilities. They used every single button and they killed Saya. They did so extraordinarily quickly and what looked like extraordinarily easily. And I was thinking, well, they just wait for those buttons to come back off cooldown once again and they just do it over and over. But no, that was the only time we saw it. And was it lack of vision? Was it lack of being able to find anyone overextended, anything like that? Because Saya was underneath his turret. He was fine. Like,
yeah.
why not just keep going for that play?
Well, most of the time, simply because of the Lyon draft, they found themselves in a situation where they couldn't really do much, especially this Talia. Talia couldn't really walk out of her lane all too much, but simply because there's a lot of pressure on her from jungle main matchup. And on top of that, top lane couldn't do anything because of how Aurelia was always going to be on top of her. And then in the bottom lane, we saw constant skirmishes simply because Trundle Lucian's going to be completely happy against against Alistar Ashe.
Yeah.
And so it was hard because once again, Lyon build, or at least they play towards their lanes, and not only the lanes, but they play towards their matchups. So once they get into the mid game, then they're gonna that's just gonna be their lane assignments. To get their one versus one, 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, and then Audi just plays towards his advantages.
Yeah, plays towards basically whatever he wants. And this game was an example of playing towards the top side. He was living up there, trying to take down the cannon as best he could. I mean, wasn't able to get flashes very, very early, honestly. I mean, it was a few ganks before they were able to actually kill Element, all credit due to the cannon player. But in the end, they were able to get it. The Aurelia got going. Of course, only needs a little bit of an inch, and you can take basically your whole arm, leg, whichever part of the body that Aurelia wants to rip apart with whatever that weapon is called. So Giral got over the top of it in the end. So
I mean, yeah, it must be really frustrating as a Kennen player because you picked yourself in such a bad matchup, but B, you're going into your entire purpose up until that game is just to get a flank play.
Yeah.
At all. And the only time you really get a decent ulti for yourself is A, topside when he's trying to escape a gank, and B, in the blue side jungle when that was the most desperate play they can possibly make. They just did not know how to set up their own plays, and they need to start if they want to at least get themselves one victory this tournament.
That's a really good point. And the other thing I want to bring back is the fact that now we do have Lyon Gaming sitting at 3-0. They are out in front now, definite first place, so congratulations to them. And unfortunately for Kaos Latin Gaming, they are our definitive last place team now on 0-4. So if this is an example of the best team in this tournament versus the worst team in the tournament, as the standings would allude to, then this tournament is much closer than we're expecting, Raz, because this early game was extraordinarily even up until that first blood. I mean, that was at 13 minutes as well. And then the gold even was then able to swing back and forth in favor of Kaos Latin Gamers as well. They were able to get that first turret blood and get themselves back into the matchup. So this is a really good news story for people that want some really close League of Legends.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think there's a difference between the gold value and the comp value as well. Because
yeah,
there's a lot of
very
times
good point.
where you can say, well, we've been counted in every lane, but we're still even in gold. Sometimes the other team's just going to be happy, even if they're in a slight gold deficit, because they say, well, A, either we outscale, just the typical we outscale kind of mindset, or
we're
B,
playing until late game.
Or B, like, we know what our composition is supposed to accomplish. We saw that in the first game of today, where they knew, Dark Passage knew exactly what they were trying to accomplish. They have a split push composition, and the moment Fiora got 8 or so kills, she was like, put Fiora topside. And sure, they won in a base race position, but Fiora was so massive, it doesn't matter what gold lead you had. They only really mattered what the matchup-specific leads happen.
Yeah, and of course, the fact that he was able to just get into a side lane and destroy people and then take down the mid lane turret with an Ashe who was 0-7 and finish off the game. So very exciting finish to that one, to what was a very back and forward game. This one was an example of Audi being a complete beast and getting the engages onto the Ashe whenever he needed to. 1-0-12 this game. Can he die, Raz, is the question. I'm not entirely sure. He hasn't done it so far this tournament. And KDA 13 this game. And what's 13 plus what, 28? Yeah, that's a 41 KDA, I think, for the tournament.
Yeah.
In fact, it's you can't divide by 0 KDA, so it's NA at the moment because the guy hasn't died.
Yeah, so he's been fantastic. The fact that he hasn't died is a fantastic stat as well. But he's been an incredible find as a jungler. And so we just keep finding junglers, as I said earlier, who know their role so well. Surprised that we haven't even known that they existed up until this tournament.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to watch and to see his development as a player.
Yeah, and of course played the Gragas and the Elise now as well, so showing a lot of ganking pressure in his jungle choices. I want to see him move to, some other options as well, show us that he does have a multifaceted jungle level of prowess. But the thing that's really cool is the fact that he barely has to. I mean, the fact that Lyon Gaming haven't been challenged from this style means that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just keep playing this, and as soon as that gets countered, that's when you have to adapt, and it hasn't been yet, and they're already 3-0.
Yeah, the champions are, it's honestly, can throw them away. It doesn't really matter. It's more of his identity and what he really does towards his team and his composition.
Yeah.
Because he has fantastic laners in every lane. Giral is fantastic. I made that point before, is that they all can do well if you just leave them to themselves. And so his mentality is he's going to be that gank jungler. He's going to be pressuring out these lanes. He's either going to be pressuring out lanes, or if they can shove out on their own, then all he needs to do is just find the enemy jungler and keep track of him. So he knows his role at every minute in the game, and it seems like he does his job well.
Yeah, and as well, I mean, I want to bring it back to the mid lane now and just have a little bit of a discussion, because you were talking about Plugo. You alluded earlier to the fact that his Talia very, very strong, and we saw it when they qualified here for IWCQ, that he was able to get on it, get the work done. But this game, I mean, there are a few little catches. I mean, Oddie was caught out in the enemy jungle, but he decided not to go for it. Were there some hesitations here that were just uncharacteristic of Plugo and his Talia?
No, I think it is what it is. If it was a team like, let's say if it was Warzone on Talia, definitely probably would have flashed over the wall regardless. And that may have not been the smart decision to make. I can understand it.
Yeah.
It just comes down, it's not really uncharacteristics. It just comes down to they probably don't need that advantage, right?
Yeah.
To push forward, but they just couldn't play the game a little more properly. Honestly, at the end of the day, if you're coming back from this, if you're a coach or if you're just a player coming out of this game, you just look back at your composition. What are you trying to do? Try and do it better next time.
Yeah, well, of course, up against the Syndra as well. I mean, it's a very difficult lane. Saya playing it out very, very nicely. I mean, there was a lot of harassment coming in, but just ridiculous stuff. We are going to cross to a Lyon Gaming's player with Hingers for an interview.
Giral, who's the top laner for the victorious Lyon Gaming. 3-0. You're the first team to go 3 victories. You've got to be feeling pretty confident for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, we're feeling good. It feels nice to be the only undefeated team so far, like by now. And we hope to do great by the rest of the round robin. Just play our best, and we'll see what happens.
Talk us through the game that just happened. What was your strategy going in? What did you want to achieve, and did it play out the way you expected it to?
Yeah, so we had this kind of team fight comp all around. We had the split push advantage on the Irelia. We had the Syndra to burst the Ashe and the Talia. And we had the Trundle to nullify the Rexy a little bit. But it got a bit complicated because they had this nasty sort of pick comp with the Ashe and the Talia. Yeah. And we couldn't really afford to ward the river as much as we wanted to. And they stalled the match. So they weren't really ganking or doing many plays, but they were denying us from doing those plays. So the game stalled out a little bit. And then we got this good play at top and got the Baron, and that's it, man.
Later on today, you've got to play Saigon Jokers. They're a team that like to brawl. The Southeast Asian region love a team fight. Going into that game, what do you expect?
Well, we like to fight too, so I don't see the problem if they like to fight. And, well, let it be a brawl then. Yeah. We'll face them.
And then after that, you've still got to play Albus Nox and Rampage and the Chiefs. Give us a bit of a preview of what you're going to expect. Like, out of those 3 teams, who are you most afraid of?
Well, on paper, I'll say Albus Nox is kind of the rival by now. They have been looking very good on their play, and that's like their most anticipated match. But also Rampage, they're looking good too, and the Chiefs, they're kind of unpredictable, so these could all be very interesting matches for us.
Excellent. Well, congratulations again on the win, and thanks so much for talking to us. Throw it back to you guys in the studio.
Really intelligent, just breakdown of the match there by Giral. But in the end, it comes down to pick off the Ashe, take Baron, win the game. Yep. So nicely done.
Exactly. That's as simple as it is.
Yeah, just ridiculous stuff. But we are going to throw to a short break. When we get back, we are going to have game number 3 of the IWCQ. Don't go anywhere.